Hello Bookish friends, welcome to the first wrap-up of 2026. In this video, I will talk about the 4 books that I finished in the first half of January. And like I did in my previous wrap-up videos, I will insert the clips that I've recorded very soon after I finish those works. Today is the 2nd of January, and I finished the first book of the year today, which was a short story collection written by a Turkish author, Aslı Erdoğan, Bina ve Diğerleri. This book was also translated to English as The Stone Building and Other Places. This book consists of 2 short stories and one much longer short story, which is The Stone Building. All of these short stories have a common theme, which is to be trapped in an enclosed environment, both physically and mentally. And the overall feeling of all of the 3 stories are quite depressive. I only liked the second short story, The Wooden Birds, and this book was an award-winning short story. It is considered the best among the readers who have read this short story collection. But this short story consisted of just 10% of the book, and the other 90% of the book was not for me. Although the writing style was beautiful, none of the other elements of the book worked for me. The plot was not existent. It only contained pages and pages of the feelings of the protagonist in a stream of conscious way. And also, to be honest, I did not understand in some parts what was the narrator was talking about. If it wasn't a very short book, I would have probably DNF'd this one. Overall, I can say that I'm glad that I read The Wooden Birds because it was so much different from the rest of the collection. And with the added positivity of The Wooden Birds, I gave Bina ve Diğerleri by Aslı Erdoğan a 5 out of 10. Today is the 7th of January, and I finished my buddy read with Amy at Zobe. We buddy read the most recent book translated to English in the House Murders series by Yukito Ayatsuji. This series consists of books that features murders that happens in weirdness but brilliantly structured houses of the same architect, Shimada Koyosuke, an amateur detective who's very much into these houses and tries to solve the murder in each book. And in this book, the remote Clockhouse is filled with priceless timepieces from across the world. It is also rumored to be haunted by the spirit of a dead girl. A team of ghost hunters visit the mansion to investigate, but their stay has barely begun when one of them is gruesomely murdered. And the survivors realize that they are trapped inside the house with a killer. And Shimada, who's originally supposed to be with this group, is late, and his friend from the previous book is inside the old building, trapped, whereas Shimada is sort of like locked outside the place where murders happen. Both his friend and Shimada try to solve the murder, observing what is happening in a time period of 3 days. The previous book in the series was my favorite book of last year, and I also very much enjoyed this book, and buddy reading with Amy added to my enjoyment level because we had a very fun time trying to guess the killer and failing all the time. Like the previous books, the mystery was very cleverly structured. And of course, the book was full of plot twists. And as an architect, I really like how the architecture of the building is used in both creation of the murders by the murderer, as well as solving the murders by Shimada. I really do like the houses are like characters themselves. And additionally, in this book, having the main detective outside the locked mystery was a novel idea, which I liked very much. The killer in this book had a very complex and elaborate, clever plan, but we as readers were given all of the clues to solve the mystery. I guess I can say that although we failed miserably up until the very end to guess the killer, I guess I can say that this was a quite fair mystery. In order not to give spoilers, I will not get into details. However, as an architect, I have serious doubts about something that happened at the very end of the book. Aside from that minor annoyance, I very much enjoyed the latest book in the series, and I cannot wait the next book to be translated to English and of course to be read with Amy. So I gave The Clockhouse Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji a 9 out of 10. Today is the 10th of January and I finished the latest book in Nancy Drew series, which was The Mystery of the Ivory Charm by Carolyn Keene. As a part of Nancy Drew Readalong group hosted by Mitzi. In this book, we follow Nancy and she is asked by the owner of a wild animal show that happens in a neighboring town, asks her to investigate one of the performers who may be involved in illegal activities. And this elephant trainer's young assistant, Rishi, runs away from him and begs to stay with Nancy and her friends because of cruelty of Rai, the foster parent of Rishi. And Nancy decides to search for the identity of Rishi's real father. Rishi claims that his father lives in River Heights, Nancy's hometown, and Nancy, believing him, decides to investigate the identity of Rishi's real parents. And of course, she is faced with many antagonists during this search, along with her friends, Bess and George. I quite enjoyed this installment in this series. It was quite full of action. Especially the antagonistic characters were very interesting. This time, the involvement of Bess and George were quite significant, which made me like the book a bit better because I get a bit annoyed when Nancy does all the things. The boy Rishi, although quite clever, was a bit annoying at first, but I really grew to like him as the book progressed. Like all of the books in the series, this was a quite engaging and easy read, and I gave The Mystery of the Ivory Charm by Carolyn Keene a 7 out of 10. Today is the 13th of January and I finished the audiobook that I was listening for Epistolary January. The Forgotten Letters of Esther Durrant by Kate Nunn. In this book, we follow two different timelines. One takes place in 1951 and the other is in 2018. And we follow the perspectives of three people. The first one is Esther, who had a very tragic loss in her life recently and has been tricked by her husband to be committed in an asylum because she cannot get over the grief of her loss. In 2018, we follow Eve, the granddaughter of a very energetic woman who was one of the first women mountaineers. And our third narrator is Rachel, who comes to Little Embers, the island that the asylum was placed in, for a zoological research about the clams in that island. And their lives sort of intersect when Rachel finds the letters written to Esther by a mysterious person with the initial R. Although the letters in this book are very significant and the whole mystery revolves around the letters that is found by Rachel, I'm not sure if I can count it for Epistolary January because a very minor part of the book is epistolary. So even though I will count it, I plan to read another book for Epistolary January so that I can say that I fully participated in the event. The timeline of Esther in asylum and her relationship with all of the patients and especially the doctor was quite interesting. That timeline was much more interesting than the 2018 timeline, although the mystery takes place in that. And I have to admit, especially the character of Evie is very underdeveloped. I did not care for Rachel, even though she was a bit more complex. I like the writing style of the author, although the half of the book did not appeal to me much. It was a quite decent historical fiction book, and I gave The Forgotten Letters of Esther Durrant by Kate Nunn a 7 out of 10. So those were the 4 books that I finished in the first half of January. Please comment down below, have you read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, and what did you think of them? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose forgotten. Forgotten means unutulmuş in Turkish, and unutulmuş is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.